What's up, family? Sorry about that, y'all. I thought I had already done it. What's going on with everyone? I might have to sit on a pillow so that you guys can see me very well. What's up, everybody? Welcome to tonight's show. I'm going to go ahead and I'm also going to add to the what's it called? The TikTok. Let me go do that. Oh, gee. No. I did not want that to play. That was y'all know TikTok. You are no control, y'all. You are no control. Don't put that on me, okay? I don't listen to nothing crazy now. All right. I'm gonna go ahead, y'all. Can I just be real with y'all right now? Can I be real? I'll keep it real with y'all. Let me get the TikTok on. So if you want a more full look at what I'm wearing, some of y'all like that, and that's what y'all here for. That's not the right thing to do, but my full attire is here. But so y'all, so just complete transparency, y'all. I did a podcast about 2 weeks ago. I went to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and y'all, I went. And it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. Like, I totally enjoyed it. I had a great time. Did a podcast called Jordan's Journey. Here's the problem, y'all. Here's the problem. I did Jordan's Journey, but y'all, I'm sorry. I look at the pictures now that we took. I'm like, I literally look like I'm 10 pounds heavier there. And it was because I was okay. So y'all, I was doing this protein shake. And it literally put 10 pounds on me. Like, I really feel like it did. As soon as I stopped and really was like trying to give certain things to God, like it fell off me. Like, literally. I don't know what it was or whatever, but I looked at those pictures. But anyway, y'all will have to tune into the episode. Me and Jordan's Journey. It was a great episode. Regardless, it was a great episode. So that is that. But anyway, if you guys don't know already, my name is Samantha Lee. I have a platform. I'm blessed to have a platform on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. I now have a new channel on YouTube for the More Than Just Pretty. So if you guys are wanting to see me actually do the podcast, you now have the opportunity to do that on the More Than Just Pretty, hashtag More Than Just Pretty YouTube channel. Okay, I put out my first episode last week. And so this week we have a new episode coming out on Friday. So that is that, okay? More Than Just Pretty. It is more of my spiritual side. If you guys don't know already, God has taken me through a season. And I really do feel like instead of me, if you guys have known me for a lot of my Christian content, you guys know me for my relationship content. And so I do a mix of that here on Love Samantha Lee on my YouTube channel. The More Than Just Pretty is really me letting you guys know verbatim my journey. But you're seeing me tell the story versus just hearing me tell the story. So if you guys want to watch that, if you're interested in hearing me or speaking, I've committed to just complete transparency. I'm not even wearing makeup on the daggone episode. I'm definitely trying to do something different in this season. I think a lot of people come on here and we try to put on airs and do all this stuff. And I really, really wanted to do something different that reflected transparency, authenticity. And so you will see me just sitting there telling guys my story every week, different things God puts on my spirit as I walk through this season. I don't think we go through things for ourselves. I don't think we learn things for ourselves. I think we go through things and we grow through things for purpose. There's a reason for it. We don't learn it for ourselves. It's a selfish way to live, right? We do things and we go through things and we grow through things in order to share that lesson with somebody else. Because there's somebody else that needs to hear what you've gone through. There's somebody else that needs to hear your testimony. And so that is why that is there. So my second episode is going to come out on Friday. And I really feel strongly about the channel. I think it's going to be great, but it's a lesson that I learned. It's a lesson that I've learned. Okay. So I want to thank those who have decided to give to the podcast or give to the channel or give to what we're doing. Love Samantha Lee, y'all. Literally, it goes right back into Love Samantha Lee. as we try to put out, oh my goodness, content. We're going in new directions. Pam can tell you we are literally jucking and jiving. We are, when God gives me a direction, we go in a new direction. We're probably going, Pam can probably attest, every week we're going in a new direction. There's always a new thing that God is putting on me to do and different things to try. And so I literally want to thank each and every one of you guys for sewing into the channel, believing in me. It's going to grow. It's going to go. God is working on me in this season, y'all. God is working on me. And so in order for me to be able to handle the mantle that he has for me, and I'm just, y'all, I'm at a place of like just surrender. I'm at a place of surrender. I'm like, okay, God, whatever. What you want? I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Okay, what you want? Y'all, God, sometimes he brings us through seasons, y'all, where all we have is him. All we have is him. He brings us through seasons and he's like, listen, I try to let you have a choice. I try to let you have a choice in the matter, but since you didn't choose me, I'm going to make you choose me. How about that? Or you can still not choose me and you can stay right here, or you can decide to go my way with it because I have something for you. And we're going to choose him. You know, if you're chosen, choose him. You know, God has a big plan for you. God has a big plan for you. He has a big plan for your life. You're not going through anything for no reason. Just surrender to the process and allow God to do something in it. It actually makes the process go faster. When we be resistant and try to go in our own direction, it makes our wilderness season go much slower. So if you just surrender to the process, be like, okay, God, what you want me to do? I know I've been disobedient. I know I've been doing my own thing. I know I've gone rogue. How you want me to, what we need to do? Let me surrender to this process, you know, and watch God do what he does. Okay. That's what I did, y'all. Cause I was fighting God. I was like, I don't want to do this. 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 I don't like this. I don't like this. But God was like, no, you're going to either you do it when you have a choice or I'm going to make you do it. You have one of these two options now, or what you want to do? And I chose to do it, you know, and it was hard, but it's one of the best journeys I've ever been on. So anyway, today's episode is called How You Know It's a Counterfeit. How you guys know it's a counterfeit and not from God. 7 signs you cannot ignore. Now, family, there's a 7 signs. Okay, somebody said, Jonah, come on, mystery of Yah. You speaking that Bible talk. Let's get into it then. And when we bring up Jonah, if y'all don't know the story of Jonah, Jonah was instructed to go to Nineveh. Jonah decided he wasn't going to go to Nineveh. He didn't want to go that way. So he decided to go to another direction. He went in another direction to avoid God's direction. And so he was deliberately disobedient, tried to go in a whole different direction because he didn't want to save the people of Nineveh. That's not what he wanted to do. So he goes in a different direction, takes a boat there. As we all know the famous story, takes a boat there. And there's a storm on the water. This is a storm on the water. This storm on the water it's the waves is crashing. And they're like, okay, they were spiritual back then. They said somebody on the boat, God is mad at. There's the God of the sea is mad at you. We need to get something ain't right. And Jonah's like, it's me. I'm the problem. God's mad at me. Just throw me in the water. Although he could have thrown himself in the water, but it's besides the point. Anyway, they throw him in the water. They didn't want to throw him in the water, but they threw him in the water. A whale swallows him up, or a big fish, and he gets redirected right back to where he was supposed to be to begin with. Shows us in the story that when we are just deliberately disobedient to God, we can either do it his way the first time, or he's going to redirect us and put us back to where we were before. It is a sign of divine intervention. Why? Because God wants you. Okay, he wants you and he wants you to serve a purpose. And sometimes we think that what we want for ourselves is the best thing for us. And that's not true. We're short-sighted. We don't see the whole journey, but he sees the beginning from the end. Okay. So I hope somebody that's on here that's watching, I want you guys to know that I know that sometimes it's like, why God, why'd you do it this way? You could have done this other way. It's like, good. And sometimes God's like, I tried. He did that to me, y'all. I'm saying this from experience. He's like, I tried. I tried to do it that way. However, you're a little hard-headed. And I got a big plan for your life. So I'm not going to let you get out of alignment. I am not going to let you get out of alignment. I'm not going to let you throw this off. Just honor this season. Honor this season of your life. Don't fight against it. Dig in, y'all. Tap in. Tap all the way in. Let God promote you in ways you could never do it. I promise you it's the best thing you can do. Okay? The best thing you can do. Because God is going to do something more. Yes, you're going through a wilderness season. Yes, this is not where you found yourself. This is not what you wanted for yourself. But God is going to do something incredible on the other side. And the story that you will have from that wilderness season is going to be like, it's going to change lives. Like whatever impact you thought you was going to make with whatever you was doing when God found you, it literally doesn't have it doesn't have nothing on what God has planned for you. Nothing. I could cry. Somebody needs to hear that. I could cry. Somebody needs to hear that. Nothing. There is nothing. Somebody is on here and needs to hear that. There is nothing. There is nothing that you were planning on doing that is greater than what you thought what you thought the season was going to be, or what you thought God was going to do, or what you thought you had a vision. God had a different one. And right now, wherever you are, it hurts. But I will tell you this, that God has when I tell you, I feel this so strong in my body right now. I don't know who's on here who needs that. Somebody needs this. I don't know who this is. I feel this so strongly through my body. Like, oh, it hurts. Somebody needs this. I want you to know that whatever you're feeling, I don't know what that is. I don't know who this is. Y'all, I'm sorry. This whole spiritual season thing, I know it can get a little funky or whatever. Somebody, I don't know who this is, but I want you to know that whatever you gave up it pales in comparison to what God has in store for you. Like, you think that where you were going was the best way for you to go, but God has a different plan. This redirection is for you. You don't realize that. You don't know that right now. But I want you to know that prophetically speaking, this redirection is actually working for you. That one day you're going to thank God for what you're going through right now. You may not understand this right now, and it just doesn't make sense to anybody around you, but God is working this for your good. I need you to know that right now, that God is working this all for your good. Romans 8:28 needs to be your scripture that you keep saying to yourself. He's working all things for your good. This is going to work out, and this is going to work out in your favor. This is working out in your favor. If you do this season right, this is working out in your favor. If you steward this season well, if you go through this process, if you surrender, y'all, right now, let me tell you something. There is a spiritual awakening that's happening on the planet, okay? And there are people that are chosen. Don't run away from this. There are people that are chosen. You know you're chosen. You know God is dealing with you. You know God is dealing with you. There's something that God has been dealing with you. And you're chosen for, there's a resurgence, there's a spiritual uprising that's happening. A lot of people are being awakened right now. Wake up with them. And for those of you guys who feel like God has put you in a season where you're like, you don't understand, and it feels like this misfortune, and you're like, you're trying, and it's just not getting there. It's God's, I know you don't see it, but it's God's way of saying, I'm not going to let you miss this. I'm not going to let you miss this. I'm not going to let you sabotage what I have in store for you. It's God's divine redirection. And if you tap into the process, if you allow him to do what he's going to do in you and through you, the impact, because here's the thing, family. Can I be honest with y'all? Some of us, we be sitting here, we live our lives, and we have a vision for it, and we think that the impact we're going to make through our jobs, the impact that we make through the YouTube, the impact that we make through whatever we're doing. Yes, those are things that you do, but that's not what you were created for. That's a conduit to what God is going to do through you. We have a purpose, and God has a plan. But our plan and God's plan, our plan doesn't have nothing on what God's plan is. Nothing. So you want this, whatever that is, whatever goal it is for you. Like, I want to have 3,000 subscribers on YouTube. God's like, bigger. Come on, bigger, greater. I need big. bigger than that. You think you're just this. You're not just this, and you're not just that. You're way more than that. You're created to do way more than that. That's why you're passionate the way you are. That's why you think the way that you do. That's why no one really speaks your language like that. That's why you feel like you need to isolate. You can't really talk to people because you don't feel like you can connect in the way they don't speak your language. The language you're speaking and the way that other people speak is like two different languages. So you're now feeling like you're isolating or you're isolated and you're in this season and now things aren't going the way you want them to go. And you're like, why is this all happening, God? I don't understand this. And God's like, well, I couldn't get your attention no other way. I was getting some attention, but I wasn't getting that kind of attention. I was kind of getting your attention. I was like somewhat, but I wasn't, you and I both know I wasn't getting your attention like that. I was an afterthought. I was when it was convenient, when I needed to be a priority. So guess what? I cleared the schedule. God said to me, guess what? Cleared the schedule for you. You're welcome. See you in 5 minutes. Let's go pray. Surprise! Schedule cleared. Let's go pray. You have anything else you got to do? You don't? I know you don't. Come on. God's funny like that, y'all. God's funny like that. God is funny like that. He's like, listen. So you thought, oh wait, so what was taking my spot? So what was the priority over me? Oh, that? Okay, yeah, no, I'm gonna take that too. Mm-hmm. The relationship? Oh, that relationship? Because we're gonna talk about counterfeits tonight. Oh, the relationship was taking you from me? Oh, take that too. Okay. What else? The job? The job is taking you. Oh, I'm gonna get that too. Yeah. Again, you guys, God is not, he will not be, if you are chosen, he will not allow you. He's just not going to let you in his hand. You surrender to his plan. If if you have chosen him and he's chosen you, guess what? There's going to be divine intervention to get you back on point. There's going to be divine intervention. Why? Because he loves you. It's not a punishment. It's not, oh, why hast thou forsaken me, God? Why hast thou forsaken me, Lord? God, y'all, and I'm saying this with all due respect. I'm saying this with all due respect because I'll be honest with you. I felt this way. I'm over here going, no, I don't want to do it. It's not what I want. And God was like, look, this is actually good for you. You don't know it yet, but this is actually working for you. And I had to humble myself and I've had to humble myself a number of times, y'all. If we have time, I'll even talk about a situation I had today. But like I've had to humble myself and say, you know what? I really don't know. Like, I don't know. I know that God has given me a fire. God has given me a desire. God has given me a platform. God has asked me to be responsible. I'm going to be responsible. I've promised him that. But I don't know the plans that he has for me. Plans to prosper me and not to harm me, to give me hope in the future. That I know that if those things are true, that I'm going to trust God with my future. Okay. So anyway, guys, as we get on the journey and as we're doing these things, there's going to be some things called a counterfeit. Counterfeits, y'all. And what does counterfeit mean? Counterfeit means it look good, smell good, but it probably ain't good. It might be, yeah. He might be close to your ideal. He might be, or she might be close to your ideal. She might be looking right. Well, let me start with this one. With a counterfeit, you always compromise with a counterfeit. Always. So there's going to be something you compromise. With a counterfeit relationship or a counterfeit job you always compromise with a counterfeit. Meaning like, oh, you know what? We got men on here tonight, so we're gonna talk about men and then we're gonna talk about women because women I can talk to women. I understand. Been there before, done that. But With a man, it's like, man, she look good and she look good. She look good and she look good. But that's where the buck stops. God, you got me. I'm sorry, y'all. You know, I listen. I got brothers. I know. She look good and she got some skills. Okay. I'm keeping it real. We got to make it plain, family. We got to make it plain for the people. I don't know whoever's on their journey. People are on different parts of their journey. She look good and she got skills. I don't really like her personality, but if I count the cost, I'm not really ready to settle down anyway. So, case of doesn't really matter. Let's keep her on the team. Now you know you ain't doing what God wants you to do. You ain't got no business barking up that daggone tree, right? But you're still barking up the tree because the tree is serving its purpose for the season. But you know, and God knows He ain't send that. No, He didn't send that. You know He didn't send that. No, He didn't send that. What He has for you is better than that. He has somebody that look good, sound good, talk good, could do those things as well. But you over here settling with the counterfeit and ignoring the real thing because of, I think really there's a number of reasons for that, but we just going. So you're the counterfeit. Here's the thing. The counterfeit delays your ability to get to the real thing. Right? So because you got the counterfeit, and I've seen this with a lot of men, they dealing with counterfeits. Counterfeits make you, they fulfill enough of your needs to where you can hold off on pursuing the real thing. And that's all they do. They're the meantime in between time type of situation, right? And unfortunately, for a lot of people, they miss out on what was really for them because they spent so much time playing with a counterfeit that they can miss the boat. And God is gracious. God is good. He can have you spin the block. It doesn't, if you're, I do think that there's things that, I think there's certain things that God is putting together and they're going to be put together. And that is what God is doing, right? I just believe that. I believe that there's certain people and certain situations and certain jobs and certain things that you are going to get to, but you can delay that by the choices that we make. And that is when we get into the counterfeit. We get into the thing that's good but not God, right? Good, it meets like if I got like, let's say I got 10 needs, the counterfeit's gonna meet at least 6 of them. Solid 6 of them. Absolutely. Maybe even 7, but they're definitely not going to meet 8 or 9 or 10. They're going to meet 8. They're going to be 8, but they're enough because the enemy's smart. He's not going to send you something it's going to meet enough of your needs for a period of time for you to delay your destiny, right? Which is why we have to be very, very, very wise. We have to be very, very strategic. Because you can end up marrying a counterfeit. A lot of people do. And y'all, I'm going to be very honest with you. I've said this in other lives. When people come on and they said, oh, God sent me my husband. Y'all know I'm going to be joking. I'm going to be entertaining tonight. I just have it in my spirit. My spirit is alive. Okay. I wish I had a pretend microphone. But people go on and they're like, hi, so yes, I met my husband. Yes, he is a man of God. Praise the Lord. He is just amazing. We waited until the day that we said I do, and he just respected that. He was just so amazing, and I just feel like our marriage is just everything. I didn't really meet a whole lot of men that was willing to do that. Praise the Lord. The only thing is, I'm not that attracted to him. But I feel like the Lord is going to call you where he calls you. So yes, my body doesn't want to do anything to him, but he's a man of God. He's a man of God. And he was willing to do it the way that God wanted to do it. And because of that, I know that was sent from God. No. I disagree. I think you settled for a counterfeit. Why do I think that? He's a man of God. He's a man of God. And because he's a man of God, I decided I was going to be with him and I was going to love him because he's a man of God. Okay. And even though he is not my cup of tea as far as physical, I decided I was going to be with him anyway because God told me that was the one. No, I don't. I disagree, y'all. I just do. I just don't. I don't think the God that created attraction. And this is my thing. Listen, y'all, hear me out, please. Hear me. I don't think the God that created attraction is going to send you someone you're not attracted to. Okay, I take this. Oh, listen, y'all want to hear Bible? I'll give you some Bible. In the story of Samson, if you go back to Samson, and I wish I had my other phone, but I'm over here with TikTok. In the story of Samson, it shows that in Samson's day, right? Samson was specifically created to be the thorn in the side of the Philistines. That is what he was created to do. And how did God ensure that was going to be the case? It says that his family did not understand his attraction to foreign women, i.e. Philistine women. They didn't understand why he was so attracted to Philistine women. They're like, Samson, why don't you get you a good Jewish girl? Why are you going over to this foreign territory or enemy territory and you can't leave these women alone? It says that God created the attraction. They said they did not understand. His family did not understand that God created the attraction to Philistine women to fulfill his purpose on the earth. What does that mean to me? That means that God has created an attraction. He created an attraction to specific women at one point in the Bible, which means we can safely assume. And when we talk about different people that got married, Abraham, his wife was beautiful, right? We know that even with Jacob, he was between Leah and Rachel, but he was trying to get Rachel because he thought Rachel was beautiful, right? Again, we demonize this whole I got to be attracted to you thing and like, oh, if it's the Lord, God created attraction. He knows what your body do. He knows what my body do. He ain't going to send me somebody that my body ain't going to do nothing for, okay? I am acting a fool. Somebody needs to get me off. Somebody needs to get me off the YouTube. Okay. But I'm just saying, if God is sending me a man, he's going to send me a man that is going to get the best. He's going to send me a man that's going to get the best out of me. And the best out of me is a man I'm attracted to. Yes, I know it. I'm aware. I'm aware of my inadequacies. A man I'm attracted to is going to get the absolute best version there is of Sam. If I am not attracted to you, you will not get the best version of me. It's just not. God knows me and God knows my heart. And I just said to him, listen, God, I don't care. He don't have to be attracted to y'all. He got to be attractive to me. You know what I'm saying? So that's just how I look at it. Y'all don't got to like him at all. But if he makes my body move, he makes my body want to do things, we're good. Y'all know what I'm saying? Y'all know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I said, God, look, I need him to be so daggone fine. I don't know what to do with myself. That's how, to me, he don't have to be fine to the world. He could look like Kermit. He could look like Kermit the Frog to y'all. But if he's fine to me, we're good. He can look like Shamu the whale to y'all, but if he look fine to me, we good. Like, that's all I'm saying. Somebody said you snapped. So Anyway, somebody said if he Kermit, I'll be your Kermit, or somebody said something about Kermit and Miss Piggy. That's so funny. But I'm just saying, you always compromise with a counterfeit, whether it's somebody that it's attraction wise, because I see that with women, compromise on the attraction. I disagree with that. I just do. I think that at the very least, you're going to be attracted to them. You're not going to get and y'all, I've heard of women that marry men that they're not attracted to. And guess what becomes a problem later on? What you think? Once you get married, you go down the aisle. Yes, you got to say the I do. Amazing. We got the wedding. Oh, Jesus. Great. We're married now. And now he wants to be touched and you don't want to touch him. Now he want to sit next to you on the couch and you don't want to sit next. You like, Jimmy, can you give me some space? Gosh, why you gotta be on me all the time? Jimmy didn't feel that way. Jimmy was cool. Jimmy sat down and Jimmy was like, he tried to sit next to his wife. His wife said, oh my gosh, Jimmy, like, relax. Like, bro, you're like, you always gotta be on me. Like, why can't you just stay over there? Jimmy, why do you walk like that? It's like weird. Like, why do you walk? Oh my gosh. Jimmy, your breathing is literally driving me nuts. Like, why do you breathe? Jimmy, why do you breathe? I literally don't understand why you breathe, Jimmy. Like, because she's dying. Oh my, okay, y'all, hold on. Somebody, I gotta breathe. No, but it's the truth, y'all. I'm just saying. But when you are dealing with men, and you're talking to a woman, and women do this all the time. Like, if you're married, you just trying to get married, just trying to say I do, right? But you're not attracted to Jimmy. Jimmy at this point knows it. Jimmy feels that his wife don't want him. Jimmy got to ask. He got to ask a month in advance to sleep with her and be intimate with his wife. He got to put it on the calendar. Okay. And she's like, it is if she feels like it. Okay. You know what I'm saying? You don't want that. Okay. That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying you don't want to be Jimmy. Don't be Jimmy. And don't be the woman who marries Jimmy. Okay. We're not doing that. I just don't believe that the God of attraction, again, the God of attraction is going to put you with somebody that you're not attracted to. I just don't believe that. I think that that's settling in the wilderness. You compromise, found a man of God that, I done met some fine men of God. Let's not play these games. I done met some fine men of God that asked me about my relationship with the Lord. Okay? I have. You okay? I have. I sure have. I done met some fine men of God. It's like, listen, what's up? What's up with your relationship with God? Oh, you care. You're concerned. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. You can. It's not unheard of to meet men that love God and are fine. Yes, you're gonna have to wait longer. But that's the problem. We don't like to wait. We like things when we want them. And so therefore and wherefore, we have that situation. All right. So that's what I'm saying. With men, we talk about what y'all do. Okay. So you'll find somebody that's very attractive that doesn't have no relationship with God at all. She might say she a Christian. It might be in her Instagram bio. But nothing about her life speaks to being a woman of God at all. God is not driving her decision-making on any level. When I say any level, I mean she couldn't pray her way out of a paper bag. She couldn't pray her way out of Kroger. She couldn't pray you into out of nothing. Okay? Nothing. Right? She don't speak. She over here at church every Sunday. She don't know what that pastor was saying. She took pictures and let the world know she was in church on Sunday. Otherwise than that, she has no idea what's happening. Y'all, I'm joking. I'm really having fun with this. But I'm just saying, I'm being very honest with you. Okay? There's a lot, just like there's men that aren't, really about the faith. There's women that really aren't about the faith. They be in church some Sundays. They'll watch occasionally. It's not about the church watching, and it's not about I love God in my Instagram bio. It's like, where's the fruit? Do I see the fruit of a relationship with God, a genuine one? Do I really see that you're somebody that I could be with, and I feel like, outside of just being fine or attractive or cute, do I really think that over time, as we get older, inevitably, that you are somebody that I could build something with substantial? All right. That's what you have to understand. When you're dealing with somebody that doesn't have certain moral standings as a woman, right? You're just, you see what I'm saying? And I'm trying to be respectful, y'all. If there's a woman in your life that, yes, she goes to church on Sunday, but there's nothing about her walk or anything about what she got going on that makes you think this woman could pray you out of a box. That when her prayers move, her prayers ain't moving lint. Her prayers ain't moving an ant. Okay? We and why is this important? Why is this important? I think that women of God, like true. I'm not saying we in church. I'm saying you can see the fruit of a real relationship with God, that when she speaks the language of God. When you see her life speaks to the fruit of God. What is the fruit of God? Love, joy, peace, patience, goodness, kindness, faithfulness, and self-control. Self-control. These are things that a woman that is willing to be held accountable, a woman that is holding herself to a higher moral standard. Those are things that come with women of God. Correct? If she doesn't have those things, and she just can tell you that she go to church on Sunday, then we have a problem, family. Because a lot of guys compromise in this area. They want a super bad female. That's it. That's all. The conversation is this. Can I show y'all what the conversation is? This is what guys be doing. They be with women and they bad, right? But here's the conversation. She doing this. She more on the phone than she ever was with you. And guess what you are? You're more on your phone than you ever were with her. Why? Because the conversation ain't there. All y'all can talk about is the music y'all listening to and what kind of food y'all like. But that's as far as this conversation's going, beloved. We are not talking about nothing deep. We're not talking about anything that hits a soul nerve on any level. She's just bad. When I say bad, I mean she look good. That is superficial. It gets old very quickly. And again, I want to urge you guys. Why am I urging this? Because I feel like we know they're counterfeits. This is not Blues Clues. But I can't sing. But this ain't Blues Clues. We don't even need 3 Blues Clues to figure out where Blue went. We only need 1 clue. And we found out where Blue at. Blue ain't there. Blue ain't got nothing to do with this. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, like that's what I'm saying, y'all. We know, like, guys, y'all know this ain't you. We know. Don't do this to me. Y'all know that woman ain't from God. I don't care what church she goes to. You can tell me if you want. She goes to First Baptist Church of God in Christ on Monroe Avenue with her uncle and her auntie every 30, 38 days. Oh, excuse me. No, Easter and Christmas. Easter and Christmas, she's in the building, down to the nines, baby. And it's not about church attendance, family. Again, there's people go to church every Sunday. That don't have nothing to do. They don't got their God said, it says in the Bible, their hearts are far from me, right? Their hearts are far from me. Yeah, y'all talk to me or you whatever. But if my faith does not produce a fruit, we have to question the root. Do you really have faith? If I say I believe in God and there's no fruit of that indicates that in my life, I then have to question whether or not there's actually fruit. Now, there's people in the church that don't pass the fruit test. Let's be clear. You can be in church every Sunday. And then there's people that never set foot in a church and they pass the fruit test. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's not contingent upon whether I walk into a church building. It's about the fruit. It's about the fruit. That's what we're here where it's about the fruit. Because there's people I haven't seen, they haven't joined a church, but they've got all the fruit. They got all the fruit. They got more fruit than I do. They're fruiting, right? But they have a real relationship with God. That's what we're here to talk about, is a real relationship with God. So again, we always, one thing you must know, if it is a counterfeit, you are going to compromise in one way or the other. You're compromising. Thank you so much, kings and queens, for go ahead and starting to give it on the chat. Thank you so much for the super sticker. I appreciate you so much. But again, you guys, that's how you know that's what you have to understand. We are the church. We are the church. And therefore, we have a responsibility as a church to represent ourselves well, right? And the bigger platform you have, the bigger the responsibility. And if God does not see you taking that responsibility well, he is going to knock you off your little horse. Period. That's what he does. So, again, you always compromise with a counterfeit one way or the other. And most of us know, when we know this did not come from God, does not originate in God, this had everything to do with me and my desires, this had nothing to do with God. Right? And at some point, in the beginning, we feel like, oh, it doesn't matter. It absolutely does matter. It does matter. It does matter what type. It does matter whether you guys share a foundation, right? If we have a foundation of God, she's going to be holding herself accountable to God, and you should be holding yourself accountable to God. How does that help us? When that helps us is, okay, how am I going to conduct myself in this relationship? It is written how I'm supposed to conduct myself and how you're supposed to conduct yourself. That means that it's family. Here's what we have to understand. It's a different thing when you're honoring your spouse because God told you to versus you telling you to. When you're being held accountable by God, it's a different thing. Like, I know for myself, God has already spoken to me. He's already told me what it is. He's told me. I'm clear. I am clear on my instructions. And I will honor him. Because why? Because I'm afraid. I'm afraid. I've got a healthy fear of God. I don't play with him. I don't play with him. We act like God don't do nothing. God does a lot. God holds a lot of people accountable in ways they never thought they would. Nope. I don't play with him. I don't play with him. So again, that's besides the point. You always compromise with a counterfeit. So even if they find, or they got money, or they got status, or they got this, or they got that, I don't care. You always compromise. They might have all those things, but do they have a real relationship with God? They might have the relationship with God, but are you attracted to them? Do they have anything going on? I had a question come in, and I'm going to address this question before I move on to the next thing, where a guy was like, well, a woman of God would not care how much money a man makes. That is false. Every man in the Bible had means. Every single one of them had means. Every single one. From Abraham on down, they had wealth. All of them. One of the main people in the Old Testament we talk about is David. David was a daggone king. Solomon was the richest man on the planet. It didn't matter whether a man was working and whether he was making ends meet. Now, should that solely be how we're making decisions? Absolutely not. I disagree. But does the Bible call for men to be productive in the fields that they find themselves in? Yes, it does. All throughout the Bible, from the beginning to the end, men were working, men were making means, men were productive, being productive citizens. That is what they were doing. Whatever field they had themselves in, whether they were fishermen or fishers of men, they were productive. Jesus had, what did Judas do? What was Judas in charge of? Judas was in charge of collections. What does that mean? They were making money. Jesus was making money. He even gets upset. Judas gets upset when the woman with the alabaster box breaks the alabaster box. He's like, we could have gotten money for that. We could have gotten money and given it away. We could have done something with that. Why should she just break an alabaster box? This whole rhetoric and notion that because you're a woman of God, you shouldn't care if a man is productive is not true. It's just not. Name a man in the Bible that was not productive. Name a man in the Bible that didn't have a job. Name one. Name somebody that wasn't doing anything. They just were there, and God, no. In fact, God spoke against laziness. God spoke against men that were not productive. Think about the parable of the men that the king gave the man a one silver dollar and $5 silver and another silver dollars, and he comes back to see what they've done in that time. And the man that just buried the $1 silver he got, he shunned, he condemned. Okay, so I don't like this whole idea like, oh, well, women of God shouldn't care if a man's being productive. That's not true. That's not true. That's a fallacy. Now, do I think that that's all they should care about? No. Is that the primary way that a woman should be determining whether a man is suited for them or not? Absolutely not. You have to absolutely go to character, because when money is no longer there or money dries up, character is what's going to keep you guys together. Integrity is what's going to keep you guys together. That foundational faith is what is going to keep you guys together. It's not the financial part of man being productive. That is a beautiful thing. A man being ambitious is a beautiful thing. But again, the character of a man speaks louder. That's why these relationships with these men, when you be trying to deal with men that have status, they have means, but they don't have no character. So guess what? They treat you like crap. They talk to you crazy, and they cheat on you like somebody paying them to do it. And you over here like, oh, at least I'm on a jet. Like, no. What do you mean? What? That's wild. You're miserable. You're just miserable in beautiful places. That's not worth it. Not to me. Just not. I'd rather leave that and be happy on my own. Right? So again, I think that a lot of times we look to things that do not matter in the end, right? Integrity, character, what a man, that is what is going to keep you when things and all these things, like, I'm not going to be me today. I'm not going to be me today forever. So if you meet me and you're like, Sam, I'm meeting you as you are and you're never going to change, that's actually not wise. You should want to marry all aspects of my mind. You should want to marry all aspects of my spirit, because when this flesh fails, my spirit still exists. My soul still exists. That when all else fails, you can still connect to my soul. You still know who I am as an individual. You know what I will do or won't do because you know my character as a human being. A lot of us, we marry people because of the very wrong reasons. Whether we've been together for a long time, we might as well. We don't have kids together, we might as well. We you know, they're saying the right thing, doing the right thing. They want to marry at the same time we want to marry, blah, blah, blah. We marry for all these other reasons. And the reality is when all of that fails, what is that person's character? Who are they as people? Who do they show up as? And I don't care about what other people tell somebody else. Like, people can talk. I've learned that in this time. People will say things about you, do things. It doesn't matter. I'm watching you. How do you respond to being under pressure? God looks at how we respond when we're under pressure. That's why he likens the growth as a human being to gold. He says, I turn up the heat, because that's what they do to purify gold. They turn up the heat, and what does it do? It lifts up the impurities to the surface. I turn up the heat to 7,000 degrees, and I'm going to see them impurities rise to the surface. So in our own lives, it's not about who you are when everything's okay. No, who do you become when everything isn't? Who do you become when people are talking about you and saying this, that, and the third? Who do you become when trials get to this and that level? Who do you become? Do you respond the same way? Do you go back at them? Do you do this? Do you do that? What do you do? How do you represent you when trials come? That's what I look at. Because it's easy to be good when everything good. It's hard when that temperature turns up. Your back's against the wall. Who do you become? That's character. When everybody's not watching you and everybody doesn't see the pretty pictures, who do you become? Who are you? Who do you become when the lights turn? When we get off the cameras and we talking, are you the same person? If you meet me in church and you meet me at the Kroger and you meet me at the park, are you going to meet the same Sam? Unfortunately, yes. I'm going to be goofy. I'm going to be me. Period. Why? Because it's too hard to be somebody else. That means I got to go on here and I can't be on here for an hour or 2 hours. Why? Because I'm not. How do I act? That's why people on this YouTube space and other spaces get exposed, because they're not being themselves. They put on this little show. Yes, women, date the right guy, wait on the guy. Oh my gosh, women, you should just oh my gosh, just wait. Like, the right guy is going to do this and the right guy is going to do that. Meanwhile, behind closed doors, they the worst one. Meanwhile, on the ranch, they smashing and dashing, ruining credit, telling women what men should do and what men shouldn't do, but they the main ones. Or they'd be like, don't date this type of woman. Don't do that type of woman. This type of woman. And she gonna be do. And you're over here like, bro, like, what do you mean? You know, of course, as a woman, I'm gonna be like that. Like, let's go with the popular one. Oh, she's a single mom. Oh my God, she's a single mom. She's divorced. Oh my goodness, what terrible. My God, woman, you have a child. Sorry. Hold on. You have a begotten daughter. Oh, wretched. Oh my gosh, this is too much. Right? They do the whole 9, right? That same man got his main girl, the woman he with right now. I mean, as he is typing or as he is recording the content, he is a widow woman with multiple children by multiple men. No shade, truth. Meanwhile, on the ranch, telling y'all men to not deal with his woman. I say this all the time, y'all family. Listen to me. It's too hard to be somebody else. And at some point you get found out, you might as well be you. And you might as well ride it till the wheels fall off. Why? Because at some point your mask is going to fall off. I've been doing this for 3 years. I've seen a lot of masks fall off. A lot of masks fall off. So anyway, it's besides the point. Whole point is this. You always compromise with a counterfeit. Always compromise with a counterfeit. Another signature sign that is not from God. And I'm going to tell you guys a real story, okay? I'm going to tell you guys a real story. Hear me out. I'm going to tell you a real story. And no, I'm not mentioning anybody's names. I'm not saying anybody, like, because it's not just one. There's not just one person that has been exposed on this internet space or one YouTube. It's been in 3 years. I probably have seen about 100 people get exposed. 100. You know, and when I say exposed, it's literally what they be getting exposed. Like there's, you know, they be getting exposed. You know, so anyway. Back my whole point is, family, if any of you guys are starting a channel or doing a platform, be you. It is too expensive to be somebody else. Be you and be unapologetically you. And if people don't like it, tough. If they want to say this, that, and the third, oh well, it's you. At least you can live and die by the fact that it's you. Okay, to my point. Story time. So y'all, there was a time in my life where I was asking God for signs, right? Or I thought I was asking God for signs, right? And this is very important for people that they're looking for somebody that God is bringing to them. And they're dating somebody like, God, is this the person? Please send me a sign. Let the red bird meet the blue bird in the big tree in the back. Okay? Let the red bird meet the blue bird in a tree in the back, right? And so I was in a space of my life where I was asking God for signs, literally praying for, show me this sign, show me that sign, like things like that, okay? Those signs happened. Every sign I asked for happened. But it still was not a God sent. This is not to scare you. This is to tell you the truth. This is an indication, y'all, for every woman, for every man that's listening to me right now. When it is a sign from God, the one thing you have to be aware of, the one thing you have to know, there's a very real enemy that's just as invested in your future. There's a very real enemy that can also create signs, and he can create wonders. He absolutely can. You can ask him, hey, God, you know, I really would like for this person to say this. And if they tell me this, and I know it's from you. Hey, God, if you tell them to walk on one foot, hop 3 times, and then open the door, I know it's from you. The one indicator that you must know the difference between a sign from God and a sign from an enemy, a counterfeit sign. Understand that the enemy is a counterfeit all the way through. What do you mean by that, Sam? Everything he's done is a counterfeit. Think about it. From the very beginning, he wanted to be God. He couldn't be. God cast him out. So what did he do? He became a counterfeit God, the God of this world. Not the God of the universe or the God that created the universe, but the God of this world. There's always a counterfeit. Always a counterfeit. When you look at the Bible, there's counterfeits. It's always a counterfeit, okay? He always will do something to mimic God. It's never really God, but it's a way to mimic. It's a way to deceive. Why? Because he's the father of lies. He's the great deceiver. One thing you must know, the hallmark, the calling card, the number one way, the one thing I did not experience, though I had all the signs in the world, the one thing that I did not experience, though I had all the signs in the world, I was asking God, this, that, and the third. The one thing, and there's another thing, but that's the second thing, but the number one thing is peace. That is God's calling card. That is God's calling card. When God does a sign and you have peace about it, Not you're still uneasy, not you're still like all over the place. I'm talking about a God peace. Y'all know what a God peace is. So when your mind is not battling and you're at peace, and when you seek God, you have peace about it. When you don't have that peace, and even though you're seeking God about it, you still don't have peace, you know it's not from God. The enemy cannot recreate peace. That's one thing he cannot do. He's limited in that ability. If you can say right now, let's say you're in a situation right now, and you can say, God, I want to know if this is the person, blah, 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 blah. Let them wear red shoes today. They're wearing red shoes. If you're still battling, I don't know. I mean, something about, it's not even the I don't know, because the enemy comes in to steal, kill, and destroy. So he will insert doubt. But it's like that uneasiness. And I'm saying uneasiness because it's not uneasiness and trauma speak very similar language. So you have to be aware of your trauma. Is this my trauma speaking, or is this my spirit telling me this isn't right? Because that's why it's important for us to really heal on this journey, right? But with that being said, if there's an uneasiness, if there's like there's just something in your spirit that just isn't at peace with this. No matter how many times you pray to God, no matter how many signs you get, there is just a lack of peace. It's a sign that the signs are not from God. They're from your enemy, who's equally invested in you being with someone you're not supposed to be with. Why? Because he wants you to settle. He wants you to settle in wildernesses when there's a promised land with your name on it. That's what the enemy wants you to do. So yes, he'll put you in an area where you're comfortable. Because a lot of us, when we're settling with counterfeits, we're actually settling for being comfortable. You also got to know peace is God's calling card, but being uncomfortable is also God's calling card. When it's just too easy, it's just too easy, like too easy. We could just roll up in here. And I'm not saying that overall, when God decides to do something, there's times where it is easy. There's time, and when I say easy, I say rapid acceleration. But there's always a process to promise. Always. Always a process. Always a process to promise. Always, 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 always. What does that mean? There's going to be a season where God prepares you for promise. And when you get to the promise, it's rapid acceleration. Let's go back. Joseph in the Bible, what happens to him? He gets thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, thrown into prison. One night, he decides to interpret dreams. Those dreams come to pass. He stays in the jail for another year, I believe. What happens next? The Pharaoh has a dream, and the baker remembers that Joseph could interpret dreams and interpret dreams accurately. One night changed his whole direction. One night. So he was preparing for years for a moment that just happened. All of a sudden happened. That is the hallmark of God. He will never put you in the seat of a car that he hasn't taught you how to drive. That's not the mark of a good father, and that's not the mark of an intentional creator. What God will always do is teach you how to drive a car before he puts you in it. Because what the enemy does is this. The enemy will do rapid promotions. The enemy likes to promote people very quickly without process. Why? Because they sabotage. If I promote you without process, yeah, the marriage is going to end. It is. It's going to end. And it's going to make you not want to get married again. And it wasn't because that you just decided to marry a counterfeit and not the real thing. And we try to bypass process because we want something so bad. And we want it now. We're instant gratification. We are instant gratification. type of generation. And God's process is delayed gratification. So the enemy has tricked us into thinking that if it's fast and it's easy, it must be God. No, the opposite's true. If it's comfortable, it must be God. No, that's not true. God's hallmark has never and never will be comfort. Never has been. God's way always takes risk. That is God's way. It will never be easy. It will never be convenient, but you will have peace about it. That is God's way. And a lot of us, because it's easy, because it's comfortable, because it's right before our eyes, we waiting on this hypothetical, on this man that you feel like God has put on your heart and he's promised you, but you don't see him at all. And then there's this guy at church that's speaking the church language and the church lingo, and he's close enough. I mean, he might be 1 or 2 points off of all my needs, but he's close enough and he's ready to get married now. I'ma just marry him. Yeah, she doesn't really have no faith, no background, no nothing like that. I mean, I have seen that she's not really, where I need her to be in other areas, but she's here, she's comfortable, and because I've been left before, I know she ain't gonna leave. So I'ma settle right here because this is safe, not because this is my preference, because this is safe and I'm comfortable. I have no peace about it, but I'm safe and I'm comfortable. So I've allowed pain to be my decision-making authority versus God. Again, it's much easier to settle with a counterfeit. The enemy's going to make it easy for you. All right? So, God's process always comes with peace. Why is that? God, that's a gift of the Spirit. That is a gift from the Spirit. Testing the Spirit by the Spirit. God tests the Spirit by the Spirit. That's Bible. What's the fruits of the Spirit? Love, joy, peace, patience, goodness, kindness, faithfulness, and self-control. If this is how somebody is conducting their life, you test the Spirit by the Spirit. Some of us are believing people and putting our weight into people that do not have the fruits of the Spirit. And y'all, like I said, please do not just blindly believe. We live in a generation that does no research. Do research. Do research. Do research. Search the scriptures for yourself. That's the best way to know what is what. But anyway, it will lack peace. So even if there's signs, even if you have these signs and there may be wonders, if you lack peace about it, and y'all know what that feels like when you have an uneasy feeling. And there's a difference between your doubting and uneasiness, right? When you're doubting, you can go to God and God gives you peace. That's a fruit of the Spirit. So when you're doubting, there's a sense of peace. When you're praying to God and you still don't have peace about it, in the presence of God, you know it don't come from God. All right? And you pray the dangerous prayer. People don't like this prayer, but it's true. God, remove anything in my life that does not belong to you. Remove anything. Remove anything in my life that does not belong. If it's not you, God, I don't want it. Why do we want what God wants? Because God gives good gifts to his children. It says in the Bible that if we, that are begotten from evil, give good gifts to our children, then how much more would our Heavenly Father, our perfect Father, give us good gifts? It then says, if his child wants a toy, would he then give them a snake? No. He's a good father. And he gives good gifts to his children, but we believe that the gifts that we get for ourselves are better than what he gives us. And it's not true. It's not true. It's a lie. The problem is a lot of us, we don't like things being challenging. We don't like things being hard, but God will never give you more than you can bear. So it's never going to be a test you can't pass. He's never going to give you a test you can't pass. He will never give you a test you can't pass. So you can pass this test. But our generation does not like challenges. We don't like having to go through process. We want things easy. And we feel like if it doesn't come easy, it's not God. And that's not true. When you get promoted, when you decide to go to when God has the person, the job, the position for you, it is going to be rapid acceleration. What does that mean? That means that when you're ready, God will promote you. When you are ready. So when people say, I've been waiting this amount of years, I'm like, have you surrendered yourself to process? Because when God has a promise, you have to submit yourself to process. And surrendering to process is hard. Surrendering to process doesn't make sense. Surrendering to process is painful at times because he's breaking you to build you. But that's how you know it's a counterfeit. Counterfeit's easy. Counterfeit comes quickly when you want it to, however you want it to. Quicker than the real thing. Because the real thing, the God thing, is going to take process. And it's going to be worth the process. It's going to be worth, I've seen so many different things online where people say it was worth the wait. Why? Because the man was prepared and the woman was prepared. What I see, and I'm speaking to my own experience, is that neither party is prepared. So it fails. And we wonder why it fails. Why is the divorce rate so hard? Why? Because we're just getting married. We haven't surrendered to no process. We don't even know what it means. We just think it's going to be a ring and we say, I do, and it's really pretty pictures and that's it. No, we're not surrendering to no process. We want marriage so bad and we desire that connection so bad, but we don't allow God to teach us the covenant that he created. Why? Well, I can tell you why. We're living in an instant gratification type of generation. We're extremely selfish. And so therefore going into a covenant where you have to be selfless for it to work, where you have to understand the tenets of the Bible quite literally for it to work. And you are doing that with a generation that has rejected that and decided to create broken cisterns that do not hold water and say, hey, why doesn't this work? Why doesn't a covenant that's created by God work without God involvement? Because for a marriage to work, there are fruits of the spirit that have to be present. It just does. It is what it is. All right, let's go to the next part, y'all. I'm almost done here. We got 15 more minutes. It distracts you from your calling. Number 3, distracts you from their calling. There's going to be 4 parts that I'm going to do today. Number three, it distracts you from your calling. What is calling? Calling's not what you're paid to do. Listen to me, family. A lot of us think that our calling is what we're paid to do. No, it's not what you're paid to do. Your calling is what you were born to do, what you were created to do. So yes, that person may not stop you from going to your job. But are they taking you away from purpose? I've been in relationships like that. Now, they didn't stop me from working. But what I feel like I was purposed to do on this planet, they took me away from. And if there's a situation in your life where you feel like you were purposed to do something, you're created to do it. Meaning, and how do you know what purpose is? What do you know? Purpose is the thing that you do that if no one was paying you to do it, you'd still do it. Because it's natural for you. If no one was paying you to do it, you would still do it. No one got to pay you to do this. This is from your heart. You do this in your sleep. You do this, and when you do it, it fulfills you. When you're done, you don't feel like you don't work. You feel like you're like, oh, I'm brand new. I could go run a marathon right now. That's how you know you're in purpose. It's not what you're paid to do. What you're paid to do is only how you pay the bills or take care of your family. What you're created to do is something different. It's beyond that. It's bigger than that. It's an impact that you create on this planet that no one else can do. Your unique thumbprint. What does it do? And what happens is, family, and it makes me so sad, is that some of us settle down with counterfeits, people that will take us away from our passions, make us feel guilty for pursuing the things that God has put you on this planet to do specifically. If somebody loves you and their love from you is from God, they want to support you in exactly what God wants for you. They want to support you and help you thrive in the areas that God has created you to do. That is what a man or a woman that is sent from God will do. They're going to push you into purpose, and they're going to support you in purpose. You're not going to be out here having to deal with arguments on the way home from purpose. You out here, let's say your purpose is to make music. Let's say that's your thing. That is what fulfills you. That is what makes you that, like, you could do music. You'd be in the studio all day. You wouldn't even look at the time. You just be in the studio. And the person that you're with, because of their insecurities, over here like, wait, what? You're still there? What are you doing? You must be with other women. I don't understand. Are you kidding me? So you're still there? Babe, look, I'm showing you. There's nobody here. It's just me and the engineer. We ain't doing nothing. Even with that, what about everything we supposed to do? Yeah, no, that's not somebody that, I'm sorry. Hello. You're gonna go. So what are you gonna do? Why you always do that? I don't understand. Now I'm left here. I have all this stuff to do, and then I can't even do it. But you're out here just at the studio all day long, and it's like you don't even look at the time. Blah blah blah. Make it a problem. Now you coming home to World War VII, and you don't even really want to come home to World War VII. You like, I gotta go home because you my girl, and we got a family. But dang. Don't she know that this is what I'm created to do? Don't she understand? Or don't he understand? Like, y'all, I'll be honest with you. I've been in situations where I'm like, dang, you want to silence me so bad. Why? Why don't you want me to speak? Why don't you want me to be who I am? Why don't you want me to speak the way I'm speaking? What does that do to you? And it's because the enemy is not them, family. It's not them. We do not war against flesh and blood. We war against spirits, principalities in dark places, high places. What does that mean? The purpose in taking you away out of purpose is to keep you from purpose. That's the point. It's not about what you're doing. It's not about what you're doing. It's not about that. It's not about, it's about the enemy knowing specifically that that is what you're called to do. And he uses somebody near you to get you out of purpose. How do I know that's true? Let's go back to the story of Job. In the story of Job, Job is inflicted, right? Afflicted. There's 4 things that happen. His children die, all his wealth, everything he owns is burned to the ground. All his workers are literally, they're all I think they were all unalived. And there was something else that happened. But there's 4 things that happen back to back to back to back to back. The enemy goes back to God and said, listen, I bet I can get him to turn from you. Let me get another shot at him. I'm going to inflict him with sickness. God says, I'll allow it. because I trust Job. We see Job, he's afflicted with boils, painful boils all over his body. His wife looks at him. His wife looks at him and says the very thing the enemy had told God he wanted to get Job to do. What was that? Turn from God. So she says, why don't you turn from God, curse God, and go and not live? I'm trying to say that in a way that does what it's supposed to do and nothing gets turned off on this internet space. He used the person closest to him that was fragile and vulnerable enough and not spiritually sound enough, which is why I said the first point, not spiritually sound enough to understand or discern even in a moment of pain and weakness, because we have to think about this is a woman who lost all her children. She's lost her family. She's lost her home. She's lost her workers. In literally 24 hours, she's lost everything. And now her husband is sick and he's afflicted. She was fragile. She was vulnerable and an easy target for the enemy. And because she was fragile and she was vulnerable, the enemy used her to do what? Attack her husband, question him, and get him to do the very thing the enemy wanted him to do, which was to curse God and decide to unalive himself. That is what she wanted him to do. That wasn't really what she wanted him to do. That is what the enemy had whispered sweet nothings in her ear. And because she was not discerning and she was not thinking about it in that way, because she was so caught up in her own pain, in her own grief, she blindly repeats what the enemy whispered in her ear. It wasn't about the wife. It was about the fact that she was a vulnerable target that the enemy could use to hopefully steer Job away from God. That was the point. And so why do I bring this all back? Mystery of Yah said she was under the Jezebel spirit. Absolutely she was. She was under the Jezebel spirit. That's why this is so important, family. Because a lot of us have decided to give up on love, give up on relationships. And it's because we chose wrong. It wasn't God's fault. It wasn't what God did. It's what we did. It's what we chose. And if we look back on it, we're like, did God have anything to do with the choosing of this person? No, it was me. There was things that I wasn't listening to, promptings I didn't allow myself to really pay attention. Like, why do I feel this way? Why is this always happening? Why do I feel like we just decided it was the right thing to do, and we did it, and we pay the consequences for it. You have to understand that. That's why this is important. Because the enemy, if you are not with somebody that is spiritually sound and spiritually aware, will use that person to keep you distracted from purpose. The person that God has for you is going to propel you into purpose. Right now, he's getting men out of deciding to be in a covenant. Why? Because in the Bible, it says, when a man finds a wife, he finds favor from the Lord. There are certain levels you will not reach without getting married, without being in covenant. You're just not going to reach it. You're not. He obtains favor from the Lord. So yeah, I'm going to create a generation of people that avoid marriage because their parents didn't do it. They friends didn't do it. This, that didn't. No. He specifically wants to take your promise from you. While you out here thinking that you wild and you living the life you want to live, the enemy's over there having a field day on your behalf. Look how deceived this knucklehead is. Look at how he's just ruining these women's lives. Just doing the enemy's work. He's just breaking these women's hearts so they don't want to get married or they decide to settle as well. I'm just wreaking havoc and he's playing a major role in it. Don't be deceived, family. Don't be deceived. That's why it's important to know if it's a counterfeit. Because we think it's very light. Oh, I'm just messing with her. I'm just dealing with him. That's why situationships, casual sexual activity, that's why we think that this thing is just so, oh, this is amazing. Oh my God, this is amazing. We're so free. We're so awesome. Yeah. No, you're actually deceived. You're deceived. You are. It is what it is. It's okay. We all been deceived. Why? Because the enemy is great about allowing these spirits to come around and impact you. Because now people ain't hiding the fact that they doing witchcraft. People out here on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, openly doing witchcraft. So you're seeing demonic influences, wondering why you can't get ahead, wondering why you can't get to the goals that you have, wondering why you feel like you're stuck, wondering why this season of your life is going the way that it's going. And you're like, wait, I don't understand why. Because the choices that you're making. You think God's going to bless mess? You think God is going to decide, oh, you know what? He hasn't obeyed at all. Let me promote him. He don't listen to me at all. Let me decide to take him to the next level. No. God says in the Bible, he says that when a man decides, knows what he's supposed to do, and decides to do something else, when a man knows what he's supposed to do and decides to do something else, this is not just men, this is women as well. When we know what we are supposed to do and we don't do it, it is considered a sin. It is considered disobedience. So when we decide and we know we walking in disobedience and you're like, well, God, why? I don't understand this. Why am I going through this? Well, you know what? Maybe if I look back on my decision making and taking some accountability, maybe just maybe God's been trying to get my attention for a minute. Maybe just maybe God is trying to stop the boat before it crashes. Maybe if I just take a moment and stop dealing with these women and stop dealing with these men and stop taking in the lies of culture, maybe just maybe I will see a shift in my life that not only will impact me, but generations after me. Maybe just maybe. Maybe just maybe. Tone says here, and that's real Tone. He says, our choices create our reality. Then we don't like what we create 1000%. What does God do? It says in the Bible that that a man in his heart plans the course of his life, but the Lord determines his steps. What does that mean? That means that when we make decisions in our lives, right? It's not that God is like saying left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot. He's not saying that. He influences our decision making. That's how he determines our steps. And if we're not allowing God to impact our decision making, we're not allowing him to establish our steps. We're getting in the way. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not into your own understanding. For all ways, in all your ways, acknowledge him. He will make your path straight. If you don't allow him to make your path straight because you're not letting him impact your decision making, you're making decisions, you're doing what you want to do, you done gone rogue on this journey. So no, he can't make your path straight. No, he can't establish your steps. No, he can't get your dream to come to fruition. He can't. Why? Because you have decided to go rogue. You decided to go your own way. And you've decided to believe the lies of culture or what your family did. Oh, my mama did that. And my daddy did that. And my friends did that. And my homegirl did that. And this, you think that that's the way because they did it that way? No. Family, listen to me. Some of y'all, can we be honest? Some of y'all have unusual callings on your life. Unusual giftings. You have unusual discernment. You have unusual vision. You have dreams. You have signs. You have wonders. You might see angels and see demonic forces. You might have sight into a whole different realm. You have unctions. You have things that come that actually happen. You don't just dream thinking or have a vision of something. It actually happens. You have specific giftings. And you think with specific giftings, with those responsibilities, with those types of things, you got to do that away from God? How you think that's going to do? You might wonder why. Why am I going through all this turmoil? Why is the enemy trying so hard to shut me up? Why? Because you got a gifting. He wouldn't care if you didn't. He'll let you do what you're doing. You doing damage, he gonna be like, well, I'm gonna let him prosper because he doing my work for me. I don't even have to ask him to do nothing no more. He's on his own accord doing damage. I don't even have to whisper sweet nothings in his ear. He just going for it. Right? But when it's us, when it's people that are trying to do God's will, oh, he's gonna come at you. Oh yeah, no, you're gonna have some problems. And he's going to make it hard for you to walk the path that God has for you. Why? Because you're dangerous, family. Once you start tapping into purpose, once you start really walking in what God is calling you to walk in, you about to be heavy stepping on this planet. You're about to really change some things. You're about to shift generations beyond your reach. But you keep running and you think you're running to something better. No, you're running away from purpose. You're actually running to something inferior. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna be in the streets for a minute, cause all this commitment stuff, like, bro, like it's not for me. Like, I'm cool, bro. I don't want to talk to no girl. Like, they be stressing me out, bro. Like, blah, blah, blah. No, you know what's stressing you out? Messing with the wrong spirit continuously. That's what's stressing you out. You think you randomly stress? You messing with, you got a rotation of 15 different women, and you think that is, and you think you in control, and you think that this is you? No, you're deceived. When has it ever been? When has it ever been easy to have a bunch of women and you just think it's gonna be okay? No. Look at Solomon, the wisest man, the wisest king that ever lived. What happened, y'all? What happened to Solomon? Solomon, because of the women he was dealing with, took himself out of purpose. In the last parts of his part of the Bible, he regrets choosing the women he chose because it ended up inhibiting his kingdom for being as powerful as it could have been because he made poor decisions in women. That is Solomon, King Solomon. That was his regret. Why? Because Solomon chose women that wasn't serving the same God. He was choosing women from different cultures that worship God differently than him and worship different gods. How common is that today? There's people that worship money. There's people that worship fame. There's people that worship being having some type of status. There's people that worship all different kinds of stuff. They worship, they doing witchcraft. They dealing with witches and warlocks. They doing all these types of stuff. And here you have Solomon, who's basically telling y'all, listen, don't make the same mistake I made. Be smarter than me. Because I could have had way more impact. I could have been way more substantial if I didn't allow women to derail me from my future. So yes, the enemy's gonna let you do what you want to do, family. Oh yeah, he gonna let. Oh, so you want to be with a bunch of different women, and you don't really know them? They just look good. Oh, I'm sending a witch your way. Yeah, perfect. Yep. I'm. Oh, you. Oh, so you don't want to be in no covenant. You just want to move around. Oh, you're about to be super empty, and I'm gonna have you all the way. I mean, your soul gonna be all jacked up by the end of this. You ain't even gonna be. You're not even gonna be completing sentences by the time I'm done with you. We are being deceived, men and women. I'm not just saying men. Men, you're the head of household. Let's be real. Men, y'all are the head. We're the helpmate. We get it wrong all the time, but y'all are the head. Y'all are the head of the snake. That's why your attack is different, family. The attack on men is different. The men, just like women are being deceived, men, y'all are the enemy is trying to wreak havoc in your life. Why? Because you're the head. Without you. So yeah, you're under extreme deception. Thinking that what you're doing is freedom, but it's not freedom. You're actually deceived. Look at the world. Look at what everybody's doing. Everybody doing the same thing. If everybody doing the same thing, that's not because it's freedom. It's called programming. If everybody's doing the same thing, it's called programming. If there's only a few people doing it a different way, what does that tell you? Stop being deceived. Stop it. Stop it. Women and men. The way of culture is what's destroying our soul. That's why we're empty. That's why the rates of loneliness, that's why the rates of mental health issues and health issues, why they're on the rise. Why the rates of unaliving ourselves is on the rise, even amongst our younger generation. Why? Because we're being deceived and we call it freedom. Told you I was going to do one more, and I don't even have to look at notes for this one. There's one more thing to know if it's a counterfeit and not from God. I'm sorry I didn't give you guys all the points today, y'all, but this is my last one. I was a time in my life I was praying for signs, like I told you guys. I told you one of the ways I knew it wasn't from God, or I should have known it wasn't for God, was the uneasiness in my spirit. Oh, God, my hair scared me. Y'all saw me jump. I thought it was a snake. It was my hair. That's how y'all know I'm sleepy. Anyway, last thing, y'all. Last thing. One way we know, outside of purpose, outside of a lack of peace, the last way we know is how they live their life. Does the way that they're trying to go about the relationship, the way that they're pursuing you, the things that they are talking about, does it reflect Christian principles? Does it? You know, in my situation, when I look back, not at all. I'm not saying not at all. There were things that there were glimpses of it. There were little signs, but it wasn't a person that was really trying to do it God's way. No, they were trying to do it their way and sprinkle a little God in it. They weren't doing it God's way. And I knew they weren't doing it God's way. Now, they were doing it more God's way than anybody else, but they weren't doing it God's way as far as the relationship was going and how they wanted to go about a relationship that was supposedly godly, right? They were doing it their way. They're doing their version of what God asked them to do. It wasn't God's way that I surrender to his will. No, I'm going to do my will and sprinkle a little God in it. When we're talking about people that are sent from God or God sent, God isn't going to send them or give them the unction to pursue until they're in a space, in a place where they're willing to do it God's way. It would be irresponsible for him to send you somebody, and God's not irresponsible, so we know that that's not it. But God is not going to send you a car that don't drive. God isn't going to send you a donkey that won't move. God is going to send you somebody that's going to do it, or at least try to do it his way. He's going to put you on the path or around somebody that's going to want to do it his way. It won't be no twisting of the arm. It won't be having kumbaya meetings or missionary dating styles. It will be, if it's God's person for you, they're going to be willing and want to do it God's way. It's not going to be you trying to convince them. We doing all this stuff. I'm taking you to every church I know that speaks to people like you and blah, 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 blah. Person doing it God's way. A person that's doing it God's way. Or at least trying to do it God's way. And when God gives them the okay, it says in the Old Testament that a betrothal will happen between two people in the Jewish marriage, right? And what will happen is they'll meet. There'll be an agreement that that person is my spouse, and that, whatever, on both sides. That's my husband, that's my wife. They would have this Jewish marriage. What would then happen is the man would go back with his family and he would prepare a place for his wife. They would be separated for about a year, right? In Esther's story, she was separated from her husband or the king for about a year, right? Sometimes a little more than a year, but it's whatever their process was, right? He prepared a place for her. And the father who paid the betrothal fee, which is the wife fee. Back then, there was a dowry that was given. Once the father gave the okay, the man would go in the middle of the night randomly to retrieve his wife and bring her back to his home. Only when the father gave the okay. So I say this to you, family. A lot of us are impatient and we're waiting. We're like, God, where is he? Where is he? Where is she? Where is she? Where is she? I'm going to ask you this question. How bad do you want it? And are you willing to go through God's process for it? God's process for it is going to bring about results. God's process for it is going to bring about the connection, the desire, the love, the foundation that you need for this relationship to work. He's not going to choose anyone for you that is inferior to your other choices. No, he's going to bring someone to you and for you that is exceedingly abundantly above all that we could ever ask, think, or imagine. That is God's process. Eyes haven't seen, ears haven't heard, minds can't even imagine all that God has in store for those who love him, who are called according to his purpose. God has someone in store for you. God has someone in store for you. But it would be irresponsible for him to bring you anyone if you're not willing to go through process. When you're not willing to surrender and allow the training ground that is required for you to be the best partner that you can be, and therefore attract the best partner that you can attract. Are you willing to go through process? Process requires sacrifice. Process requires commitment and devotion. But one thing I know about my God is that he is faithful. You do it his way, you will get results. The problem is, a lot of us don't want to do it his way. His way does not appeal to the instant gratification of our culture. His way requires patience, love, joy, peace, patience, goodness, kindness, faithfulness, self-control. His process is going to bring about fruit. And we resist process in society. And then we wonder why things don't look the way that we want them to. These are things that, guys, I'm gonna be honest with you, I haven't done the best. I'm not Jedi Sam and I've been doing this my whole life. No. These are downloads on the journey that God is showing me and confronting me with my BS, one of the things that I've done, the choices I've made, why I've made them. Even today, I had a moment with Pam that Pam had to put me, like, I was so defensive and I was so, hard to communicate with. And I realized that in that moment, like, okay, this is an area of growth. Like, I've been so hurt and I'm fragile that I'm like a cat scratching in the corner. That as soon as I feel like you're saying something, doing something that is, I guess, questioning me or whatever the case may be, where it feels like I got to defend what I'm doing or how I'm doing it. And it may not even be real. It might be just me in my head. But because of my own stuff, I have to go a different way. And she came at me and she didn't back down from me. She told me exactly what I needed to hear. And in all humility, I apologized. Eventually. I'm not going to say I started that way. I didn't. But I understood that this is where God is dealing with me. An area that in order for me to do the next season well, I have to get this right. So instead of allowing me to be in a situation where I'm just going to resist change and I'm who I am and blah, 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 blah. And I can be that way. And I even said that when she confronted me. I'm like, no, well, I'm not going to do it. And even if my husband said this or that, blah, 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 blah. And I'm saying all this stuff. I'm talking big bad wolf talk. Big bad wolf talk ain't real. That's not what I want. What's the truth is not many of us want. He gonna have to deal with me. I'm talking all that big bad wolf. Sound good, Sam, but that's not real. That's not real. You don't want this to continue. You don't want this to be, you don't want no one to feel this way about communicating with you about things, where you being all defensive every time somebody has something to say about the way that you do things. Like, you can't be like that. You really can't be like that. When I have infrastructures or I have a spouse or I have anybody in my life that they have to say hard things to me and I have to be willing, I have to get secure enough with me to be able to handle that and handle it well and handle it with grace and give them the space to say and to be and to do without them feeling like, I don't know. She's spicy. I don't know. I don't want to be that kind of person. I don't want to be that kind of spouse. I don't want to be that kind of nothing. But I've had to allow God in this journey to confront me with me so that my next season, which I know is coming, I'll be able to steward that responsibility the way that He's always intended for me to. But I resisted process. Well, at the time, I think I didn't even, there was no process in that situation. But I have resisted process. I did it my way. I have to do it His way. My way has not been born. It has not produced the best fruit. It has not. Okay. All right, family. I know I've talked a long time today. We are going to cut this episode up into pieces. We're going to cut this episode into pieces, okay? In order for us to really, for you guys to be able to get this piece by piece. So do not feel stressed or, pressured. We are saving the live, and we will also be breaking this up. But yes, I want to thank you guys for joining me tonight. I want to thank each and every one of you guys. For those who gave tonight, thank you guys. The channel is growing. The platform is growing, and it really does help to get us to the next level that we're trying to go. All right. So I am very, very excited for the direction of where we're going. And again, I'm very, very grateful for the opportunities, for what people are saying. Y'all, I'm not above. I'm not like the epicenter. I'm not. I'm learning on the job. And God is teaching me things. And as I'm learning these things, I feel a responsibility, a burden from God to share what I'm being taught in this season. And I'm going to be faithful to what he's calling me to do. All right, family. I love you guys. Thank you guys for sewing into to our mission, to what we're doing. A new podcast episode will be coming out live on Friday. The audio will be out tomorrow for my next episode. My phone died, so I can't look at the title of the episode. And if I'm being honest, it was about surrender. It was about a story where I had to surrender. Transparent story. Like I said, y'all, every week you're gonna get the truth. Nothing but the truth, so help me God. Okay. And you'll see it in the video. You'll see, you could tell real from fake. I'm sure y'all can. Y'all are discerning people. So anyway, I love you guys. And I will talk to you guys next week. Or I might pop up on you. So let me not even say that so strongly. I might pop up on you. We never know what God's gonna do. All right. I love y'all. Have a good night.